What's going on, everybody? Welcome back for episode 4 of the Burgos Report. I'm Andrew Burgos, and my guest today on Zoom is Mr. Dalton Miller. What's up, Dalton?
What's up, Burgos? How you doing?
Doing great, man. I'm doing great. Let's talk some sports, as we always do here on this podcast. So, we're going to start off with the NFL, just a vague thing here. We're going to move right into the playoffs. The playoffs are not really decided yet moving into this final week. Usually, you got this big, like, already know what's happening. But moving into the AFC and the NFC, we have some spots open. What are you thinking going into this week?
Well, as a Chiefs fan, personally relieved. Got the one seed locked up, so I don't have to worry about that. But it's getting pretty interesting, especially for your Bears. That's for sure.
Yeah, no kidding. The Bears have to win against the Packers, who of course are playing for the number one seed to have the playoffs go through Lambeau. So it's not going to be easy. I'm really, really nervous to see who they start, what it's going to look like. But the bad news for the Bears is Jared Goff just is out for this week because he had surgery on his thumb. So that's
Yeah.
not good because the Cardinals now are going to be playing a second string quarterback. We haven't heard the full news on Kyler Murray yet. So hopefully my Bears can make it in. Let's just pray to God that hopefully it's a backup versus the backup and hopefully the Rams get the advantage there. But I'm really, really hoping that we beat the Packers, but you never know on that one.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about that Rams Cardinals game. Backup versus backup. Who do you got in that game and why?
Honestly, even if Kyler Murray plays, I still like the Rams. I think
That's
a lot of what Kyler does revolves around his mobility, revolves around his ability to get outside of the pocket and make plays. So if he's back in the pocket on one leg, being forced to make plays with his arms, I think that Rams front seven is going to have a field day if Kyler's back there on one leg. So I still like the Rams,
yep.
even if Kyler.
I agree. I think the Rams hopefully get it done. I think the Rams are just a better team, and after losing two in a row now, they got to finish off this season with a dub. Even without Jared Goff, I think they really need to work hard and play their best game to show the country and show the world what they're going to look like heading into that playoffs. And hopefully it goes well. Either way, it's going to be a great game to watch. But now we're going to kind of keep it in the playoff side on the NFC side. The NFC East, we head into the last week. The Cardinals, sorry, the Cardinals, the Washington football team just released Dwayne Haskins, their backup, because he had a little too much fun. And that just didn't fit their repertoire and what they do. This it's going to be interesting. They win, they lock their spot in the playoffs. They lose, either the Cowboys or the Giants. The 10 loss team Giants have a chance to make the playoffs. What do you think about this really weird division this year?
Well, yeah, going back to Dwayne Haskins, I mean, he had the James Harden off the field life, but the on the field wasn't enough to back it up. So yeah, I can see that. But can't forget about them Cowboys. Them Cowboys last three games have been really playing really well. Andy Dalton starting to get the offense going. Um, Washington, I mean, their defense has been solid all year. That front seven plays really well. Chase Young is obviously a monster, but if you don't have that quarterback situation figured out, then even if they make it to the playoffs, I don't think it's gonna go anywhere.
Yeah, personally, I'm pulling for Dallas. I think Dallas has a really big chance here. They just got to beat the Giants, and I think, like you said, the quarterback position is all over the place in Washington. So if Alex Smith plays, okay, that's great. We all know Alex Smith has definitely comeback player of the year this year for what he's done. So it should be pretty interesting to see what they do. But that's going to be that division all year long has been crazy, and just the thought of a 10 loss team Giants getting a chance to host a playoff game because of winning their division is just crazy.
I mean, say whatever you want about it, but I mean, each division's got to be represented. That's why we're in this situation. But I definitely like the Giants and Washington because I think both their defenses obviously have a step up on Dallas's defense. Dallas's defense has been their biggest problem all year, and the Giants and Washington have both kind of ridden their defenses. And I think when it comes down to postseason football, you're only going to go as far as your defense allows you to go. So
Yeah, that's a great point. Now jumping over to the AFC side here, you got the Titans, the Browns, the Ravens, and the Dolphins. Are those
the
four teams?
Dolphins, yeah, are all sitting as they would get in, and then the Colts are on the outside looking
right?
in.
And the Colts are on the outside, and it's just crazy that this is the AFC right now. All those wild card grabs are up to spot. I think the Browns are going to make it. I think the Browns are going to finally make the playoffs. Hopefully, you never know, but it's about dang time they make it in the playoffs. Who do you think is going to come out of this inside the playoffs?
Well, honestly, I think the Browns should already be in, but because losing to the Jets, how are you gonna do that?
Good
But
point.
honestly, I really like the Colts too. I think the Colts deserve to be in, but right now they're on the outside. And I look back to week one when they lost to the Jaguars. Jaguars only won of the season, and I think right now it's coming back to bite the Colts. That's that's simple, but I'm cheering for Miami out of all those teams just because I love what Brian Flores has done. I loved how they've turned it around from last season and really competed this season. I don't know how well the two quarterback system is going to work down the road, but I'm pulling for the Dolphins all the way.
Yeah, I want the Dolphins in as well. When Ryan Fitzmagic goes in there, and I've been Fitz magic. You already know. Like Fitzmagic is a beast. So I love watching him play. And the two quarterback system is interesting. Tua starts every week, and then if he's having a bad time, they know they have a quarterback they can go to into a. I'm sorry, in Fitzmagic. So it's going to be awesome. I would love to see. I think the Ravens, they're good, but this year. They're better now, but at the start of the season you saw that inconsistency. I would prefer to see the Dolphins in and the Colts in over the Ravens and the Browns as well. So it's a toss up, really. I'm pretty excited to see what happens on the AFC side. And now it's kind of going to move into the next question here. Your two Super Bowl teams from the AFC to NFC. Who are they? And then who's your Super Bowl champ?
So my Super Bowl pick would be the Chiefs over the Saints, 38-35 in overtime. That is my official Super Bowl pick.
That's nice. That's nice. Kamara going off at the right time to see them in the Super Bowl. But I'm gonna go with the Bills are gonna actually make on the AFC side. And I'm probably going to do the Packers as well. And I think the Packers are your Super Bowl champs. I hate to say that. Don't get me wrong. I hate to say that, but Aaron Rodgers has just been a beast this year, and Packers are really clicking. And the AFC side is so unpredictable. I know like the Chiefs are there, but by watching the Chiefs in these recent games, it's just been like, oh my goodness, how are they not closing out these games and even covering on the spread? Betting wise, it's been crazy. But the AFC is so unpredictable. But I think in the NFC side, it's either going to be the Packers or the Saints. So it'll be really interesting. But I think this year, Packers are your Super Bowl champs, and that hurts. That hurts to say, but
Yeah, I
they're
know.
pretty
I
good.
know how much that must hurt you when you're wearing that Bears jersey to say that, but
Yeah, and this jersey was retired a few weeks ago. This jersey was retired, not been worn, and then out of nowhere, Mr. Trubisky actually decides to play football, and
it's
I'm
been
like,
resurrected.
yeah, resurrected is an understatement. Kind of
Yeah, back to
saving
relevant.
Yeah, saving Matt Nagy and his job. I think you should, in my opinion, as a Bears fan, watching more and more. I know this is hot, and I've been saying fire Nagy, fire Trubisky, get them all out all year long. But I think you should maybe ride one more year. Just pick up their options, let it ride out, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think Mitch has done enough to earn confidence for next season. I think ever since he earned that starting job back, he's shown a new fire. He's had new confidence, and he's been balling out.
Yeah,
Very
I agree. I
for
agree
him.
110%. And now, the final question for the NFL before we move on to NCAA football. Who's your MVP this year and why?
As much as I want to say it's Mahomes, there is a bad man up there in Wisconsin with the number 12 on his back. That is without a doubt the MVP of the season. I mean, leading the league in touchdowns and then has less interceptions than Mahomes. I know the yards aren't there, but the efficiency, the 70% completion percentage, it's Aaron Rodgers. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, he's one bad man. I've been saying that. I actually tweeted before the season started when they drafted Jordan Love. I said, "It's over. Rodgers got this. He's going to play outstanding this year with the weapons he has compared to Patrick Mahomes. It's clear and obvious. I've been saying this all year. And don't get me wrong, Mahomes put up a fight, but I think after that Falcons game, it sealed the deal. I think Rodgers is definitely your MVP this year. So congratulations to A Rod. You are one bad man. And I hate to say this as a Bears fan, but after watching Pat McAfee every Tuesday to see Aaron Rodgers Tuesday, the respect I've gained for Aaron Rodgers is just crazy. It's through the roof. He just puts up a great, and you're not seeing that media Aaron Rodgers. You're seeing the real Aaron Rodgers, and it just makes me laugh and have a good time. And big props to Aaron Rodgers for a Bears fan actually respecting you. And I think that's what a lot of people are starting to do.
Yeah, no, super happy for Aaron Rodgers.
All right, now we're going to move on to college football here. Just start off. You got Clemson, Alabama, Notre Dame, and Ohio State in your college football playoff. Do you think that was the right four teams?
I do. I do. I was on the fence a long time about Ohio State, only playing pretty much half the games that everyone else played, but I think they're still a top four team in the country. And then I see Texas A&M, they're sitting at 5, and I think the biggest thing that worked against Texas A&M was losing to Alabama by 28 earlier in the season. I think if they maybe would have played Alabama closer, then they would have had a better chance of getting in that 4 spot. But I like those 4 teams. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I guess my one downfall would be Ohio State. I thought they shouldn't be in, but it was close either way. I thought Notre Dame should have made it in no matter what, but that's also very biased because I'm a Notre Dame fan. But like just sitting there, and I think okay, we gave Ohio State the shot, but honestly, if the Big Ten didn't change those rules for Ohio State, they wouldn't have even been in the playoff in the first place. So they had to make some moves and change some rules to try to get Ohio State in. And then the people that Ohio State played this year, not very good this year. Their only ranked opponent, Northwestern, who they played in the Big Ten championship game, almost they really played them very, very well and showed their weaknesses. So I didn't know how the committee was going to take that. Obviously, they let them in, so it'll be interesting to see what they did. But I'm happy. It's still going to be good football, and good football is exactly what you need, unless you're Notre Dame and you play Alabama, which I'm very, very nervous about. But yeah,
I feel so bad for Notre Dame fans because it seems like every season they're competitive, but just competitive enough to where they have to play Alabama every postseason, and they get embarrassed every year. And this year, it's just looking like it's going to be more of the same.
it's either Alabama or Clemson every year. Alabama or Clemson. We just can't get it done. It's like, man, we're there, and then we have a bad game. What I'm hoping is that our bad game was in the ACC championship game, so then we move right on, and who knows? I say we have a chance because Brian Kelly remembers what happened last time he played Alabama, and he does not want to hear about that ever again. Because if they beat him here, it doesn't matter what happened in 2013 when we got demolished in the BCS national championship game. It's a new life, new team. You got a good book. Book played like trash in the ACC championship game, so we got to wake up. Our defense got to wake up. We got to run the ball well and just have a chance. But we'll get on that pick later. And you know, this is the last year, I'm pretty sure, of the 14 playoff. They get to make a decision what they want to do after. Do you think an 8 or 16 team playoff is better?
I would love to see an 18 playoff. I think the past couple of years now, we've seen plenty of examples of teams that were right on the outside bubble that we would like to see. And obviously, you look at Cincinnati this year sitting right at that 8 spot. If we had an 18 playoff, at least they would get a chance to prove themselves. So I'm a big believer in the 18 playoff. I'd like to see it. It's just more football for us, anyways. So
Yeah, I agree. I think 8 or 16 is the way to go. 16 maybe be a little too much, but the 8 I think is perfect. You get all your Power Five conference champs in there, and then you get those crazy people like Coastal Carolina, possibly like Cincinnati, like all those teams that did really, really well this year. Just obviously weren't even getting thought of for the college football playoff this year. But I think 8 or 16 is definitely the way to go. Can't wait to see what they do with it. I've seen all these mock brackets of what it would have been this year, and it gets me so excited. More good football, and also brings in those underdogs, those Cinderella stories that we see in FCS football, in the March Madness tournament, and all these things where upsets happen, and that brings more viewers, more views, more ratings to those playoffs. So I think they should definitely move on to that and keep that going. Now, after talking about that, we're going to make some picks. We're going to make some big picks for these bowl games. First one I have on is the Peach Bowl, Georgia versus Cincinnati. Dalton, who you got and why?
uh, I'm going to take Cincinnati in the upset. I like their quarterback. I like Dennis Ritter. I think he's a playmaker. You look at the 2,700 yards, you look at the 27 total touchdowns. I think I like Cincinnati's defense a lot. They play fast, they play physical. Cincinnati's playing for their third straight 10-win season. So I'm going to take Cincinnati 31-30.
Man, look at you. Look at you. I'm picking Cincinnati as well. Besides Coastal Carolina, I think it's one of the underdog teams this year that not a lot of people saw coming out. Georgia's going to put up a fight. And don't get me wrong, I've seen lots of Georgia games this year and seen what they've done. I just, for some reason, that underdog mentality for Cincinnati has been working all year long. They're just going to continue to ride out into this game. And I think Cincinnati pulls it off. It's going to be close. I say they probably win by 7 or 3. Put it around that area. I don't really know the exact score, but we'll say that Cincinnati by 7 or 3. I do think Georgia will probably cover though, or Cincinnati will cover no matter what. All right. So next game we have the Citrus Bowl, Auburn versus Northwestern. For me, this is really an easy one to pick. I think Northwestern, after barely beating getting lost to by Ohio State, is probably going to run away with this bowl game. But no Gus for Auburn, so I think Northwestern has this game really easy.
Yeah, me as well. The Auburn offense has been inconsistent all year long. Bo Nix has not been efficient. 7 interceptions, and then you look at how dominant that Northwestern defense is. I'm Northwestern all the way.
That's a great pick. I agree 110%. Now we're going to move into the big games, the college football playoff games. Here we go. The Rose Bowl in Dallas, Texas, by the way, this year. Notre Dame versus Alabama. Dalton, you pick it. Who do you got?
Gonna go out on a limb here and say Alabama wins this game.
By how much?
Oh God, at least 14. I mean, Mac Jones is having. I mean, 3 top 5 Heisman finalists. I mean, Devontae Smith, AP Offensive Player of the Year. Mac Jones, through 11 games, has better numbers than Joe Burrow had last season through 11 games. I just don't see, I just don't see any way that Alabama doesn't put up at least 42 in this game.
All right. Well, okay. Yeah. Alabama probably wins this game, but you know what? Screw it. Notre Dame's going to win somehow. They're going to find a way. I think the loss of Alabama center, the guy that does the little dancey dance every time someone's offsides, with him being out is huge. That's a big part of the team. You saw how the team reacted when he got hurt, so that should be interesting to see what happens. If it's close, Notre Dame's got a chance. We all know if it's a blowout, then obviously Alabama's probably going to win by a lot. So we got to keep it close. I think Brian Kelly's got to work and do a really good job. But I'm going to pick Notre Dame, but the reality pick is probably Alabama here for sure. All right, now moving on to the more interesting game, which I'm really excited to watch, the Sugar Bowl, Ohio State versus Clemson. Who do you got, Dalton?
I'm going to go with Clemson. I mean, obviously, you look at Trevor Lawrence, probably number 1 pick, and then ETN coming out of the backfield. But honestly, I think this is more of a story about the Clemson defense versus Justin Fields. I mean, like you said it earlier about Ohio State playing in close matchups, and Justin Fields' 2 biggest games this season against Northwestern and Indiana has 2 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in those 2 games. So Justin Fields guy, I think he's going to do big things when he gets to the league, but right now he just is not playing well in the big games. So I think Clemson takes this one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close, or it could be a blowout. I think Clemson gets the win. Clemson fought really hard this year, coming off that one loss to Notre Dame, proving themselves in the ACC championship game very well. You could see what happens with or without Trevor Lawrence in those games. It meant a lot for them. I'm pretty excited to see how Ohio State handles this game. How Justin Fields, like you said, with those past 2 games, top ranked opponents with Indiana and Northwestern, close games, and he didn't perform his best. So they're going to have to rely on the run game, definitely, and we'll have to see what Clemson's defense does because we saw with Clemson's defense without the middle linebacker against Notre Dame how it was. So we'll see how he does against the Ohio State run game. I'm pretty excited to see what Clemson does. But I think Dabo, as always, Dabo's just a cool guy to be around, and he loves his team. So I think Clemson pulls it off for sure. And so that would make it probably Alabama. We'll be real here. Alabama, Clemson for the national championship game. Dalton, who you got there?
I'm in a close one in overtime. I'm going to take Alabama over Clemson. I mean, I think it's a pretty high scoring game, obviously, when you look at how star studded both teams' offenses are. But Alabama's been number 1 team all season. They really haven't had that close of a game. They've just been as dominant as you can be. So I'm going Alabama in the national championship.
I'm gonna pick Clemson here. Actually, I'm gonna go against you. I'm gonna pick Clemson because Trevor Lawrence is just a beast, and ETN's good as well. And we've seen this matchup multiple times. I think Trevor wants to finish his time at Clemson with a national championship ring and ride into the sunset now being with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So he should love that. He's not going to the Jets, so that's a plus. But he'll finish his season well with Clemson, and I think they win the national championship. It's going to be fun either way. I just love football. That's all that really matters. We get to watch good football, and
I mean, it's gonna be a good game either way.
yeah, sit down, relax, watch football, man. That's all we like to do here. Is we men that love to watch freaking sports. I can tell you that. So we're gonna move in here to another topic. The NBA just started off hot and just started off good. So what are you seeing so far in the NBA that you like so far, Dalton?
Um, the depth of the Lakers. I know obviously they made some big moves this offseason when you think about acquiring Montrezl Harrell and Dennis Schroeder, two top tier six mans, and then the veteran soft hands, big passer, 7 footer Marc Gasol coming in. And we've really seen that depth shown through so far, which I like to see. And then just also as a fan of basketball, it is so nice to see the Slim Reaper Kevin Durant back on a basketball court again. It's been so fun to watch him back, and I'm really ready to see what he does this season.
It kind of took the words right out of my mouth. All the stars are back. All the stars are back and ready to go. You got Curry back in the Warriors. Unfortunately, he lost his other splash brother for the year. But you've got all the stars back and out of the bubble, back into their natural habitat in their arena. Sure, there's no fans at the moment, but hopefully, as that moves on, we'll get some fans in there, get back to normal. And seeing all these teams back with their players has made the NBA so much fun. I think last year going into the bubble, we all had a feeling that the Lakers were going to win it all. And don't get me wrong, the Lakers have a great team this year, but you never know what's going to happen with all these stars back and the Clippers and the Nets and all these people working so hard to get these deals and acquire these deals. And my boy Fred VanVleet in Toronto having a chance and the Suns doing all that. So it's just good to see players back and for them to be back playing basketball again at their home turf.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the Suns. I mean, when they were in the bubble, Devin Booker tore it up, had a couple game winners. So I know adding it seems like every single year Chris Paul just gets passed around to a team that they think is not going to do well, and then they're a 4, 5, 6 seed in the playoffs. So I could obviously the Western Conference it's very tough, but seeing the young stars and Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, along with that veteran leadership of Chris Paul, I think the Suns are going to make some noise this year for sure.
Yeah, I said in my previous episode, they're my champs this year. I know it was a crazy out of win thing, but I just felt it. Last year coming hot off the bubble this year, getting Chris Paul, they got a chance. So why not? Why I'm gonna be that crazy guy that says, you know what, the Suns got it this year. But it's been pretty fun to do it. But Dalton, thank you so much for your time, man. It really means the world to do this over Zoom and we get a good podcast out of it. It really means the world. Thanks for spending some time on the Burgos Report.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Peace out, guys. We'll be back for the next episode. Coming up, next guest is going to be Tyler Landsworth and Luke Coffey, man. So stay tuned. We'll have that next week.